Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to analyze the story by Lorne Armstrong, a single sneaker in the refrigerator. Now, make no mistake. I didn't even know what a sneaker is. I thought it was a sock at first, but no, it's a shoe. So, and I was like hesitating. I was like, a sneaker? Who refers to their shoes or sneakers? And then I realized, yeah, it's pretty common. Like in the poor. Like I was thinking in my memory, like, oh yeah, poor people. That's how they call their shoes. Like it's a running shoe, basically a gym shoe. So already we can know that Lorne probably wasn't wearing some nice shoes. And even today, when we discussed that when Lorne shows at the house, he's wearing sneaker. So even though it seems like a very innocuous story, it already foreshadows, or it foreshadows things to come. It shows that the sneakers are the key in Lorne's life. The first thing that struck me when Lorne sits on that chair, he's in a multi-million house. Well, I think it's like $700,000 house, but it's a nice house, Kayla's house. He sits on the sofa and you see his shoes, and the sole, the under part of the shoe is black dirty. If let's say for whatever reason I invited Lorne to my house, I don't live in a mansion. I live in a no, I live in an okay house. If I ask him to come in, there's no way he's walking in with those shoes. They're so dirty and ugly. So as I said, even though when Lorne was in grade 3, which is like I think like 6 or 7 or something, well, let me calculate. So grade 9 is 14, right? So about 8 years old. Already it was written in the sky that the sneakers, he would show up in a house with dirty sneakers and get arrested. That being said, when we analyze the story, first notice they didn't even bother to get his name wrong, right? Sorry, they're like, Lorne? It's probably a typo, It's a kid, he probably doesn't know how to write his name. It's probably Lauren. And supposedly it was published in a newspaper, and let's face it, the newspaper in Canaan, Maine, I think they publish pretty much everything you send to them. Like, that's what he says here. He says, oh yeah, Lorne newspaper story. I'm sure if you send them a story saying, oh yeah, there's a cow that for 10 minutes straight, I don't know the word for it, I'm sure they're going to publish it. So Lorne was apparently very proud of that story getting published. He was already a burgeoning author, writer. Now to the story itself, it's a story that really mastered the essence of a punch. You feel the tension when you read, like, what the hell happened to that sneaker? Maybe somebody stole the sneaker from him. Maybe his brothers are playing a prank on him, or maybe he never had a sneaker. Maybe he's schizophrenic, and there's the first signs of an outburst of loss of contact with reality. Maybe he ate that sneaker because he was too hungry and they're poor. Now, look at how the story, I couldn't find both of my sneakers. That's a common problem that kids have to face. So I feel that when he says that, it really relates to me. It really talks to me. Like, every kid is like, I understand you, Lauren. I can't find my sneaker. That's a big problem for an 8-year-old kid. I looked and looked, and finally I knew that my sneaker was playing hide and seek on me. Although that seemed like a simple sentence, it really shows that Lorne was already, losing his grasp on reality. He was already he was already living in his own world where his sneakers were alive. Oh, the sneakers playing hide and seek. It also reeks of loneliness. Lauren, was so lonely, he had nobody to play with. He had to play with his shoes. So that's an interesting topic. If I'm a psychologist and I read a newspaper, and there's nobody with a PhD in Canaan, so there's no way that anybody's going to read that any psychologist is going to read that. But if I'm a psychologist, I would say, like, well, this guy is rejected, he has no friend, and he started to talk to his object, He is so lonely and so rejected that basically his objects are his only friends. He's like, my shoe is playing with me. I went to my mother's room. Notice how he goes to his mother. He doesn't say, like, my parents' room, my dad's room, my mom's room. He called her mother. Why? Why did he choose the word mother or not mom? I think Lorne was really trying to write a good story, and he says, I'm going to use some advanced vocabulary. I'm not going to say mommy or mom. I'm not a kid. I'm an author. I need to use the word mother. I went to my mother's room. I said to my mother, like it would have been funny if he went to his mother's room and he says, like, I said to my brother, like, whoa, I thought you went to your mother's room. Yeah, dude, you went to your mother's room. It's probably because I want to talk to your mother. You know, you're not gonna say like, I went to my mother's room to talk to my sister. Like, no, we know you're gonna talk to your mom, you know. And also notice how he says mother's room. Why not my parents' rooms? You know, it's because the mother lives alone because there's no dad. So, although it seems like a very simple story, you can already feel the pain, like the emotional tsunami that the author was going through. Like, I don't have a dad. I only have a mom. I went to my mother's room. And I said to my mother, it's so formal, like, Mother, I said to you, where is my other sneaker? At this point, you might start to wonder, like, maybe, you know, the mom probably didn't want to be bothered about such nonsense. And also, it reeks of poverty, and the mom was probably mad, like, oh no, you lost your sneaker. We can't afford a new one. You're gonna go to the school shoeless. She says, I haven't been wearing it. And I'm pretty sure, like, it's pretty weird that the mom would say that. Do they really share? Are they so poor that they have to share sneakers in the family? Like, Lorne, I need to go to the grocery store. I'm gonna take the sneakers today. No, I want to wear them. You can wear them tomorrow, Lorne. And of course, she's a woman. She's not gonna wear a men's shoe unless they're very poor and they have like some cheap like $5 shoes, and that is like both sex. Like men feet and women feet are different. The sizes. I guess women can wear men's shoes if they have like big. I think you can adjust. Actually, I think I'm saying nonsense. I'm too much into running, and in running you really need like different shoes for men and women because the way you run is not completely identical. But then again, there are women that wear men's shoes because that's how they are anatomically. So I don't know. I always went to places that have both sections for shoes, like shoes for women, shoe for men. But now apparently they have like both sex sneakers. So it's probably wearing very good sneakers. Anyway, when you have shoes, you shouldn't share your shoes because you really mold and use the shoe in a certain way. And if somebody else wears it for like an extended period of time, it's going to ruin the shoe. So that sentence is really bizarre. Like, what kind of woman is going to say that to her son? Like, I haven't been wearing them? Like, you really expect her to say like, I don't know, or something. So it's a weird answer, and I don't know why Lorne put that in that story. Like, maybe he thought it was funny. Like, oh, my mom said that. I thought and said, maybe I could use some of the old ripped up rag to pretend that a cast is on it. That is really weird. Like, this guy, he has a very limited imagination and not a very good imagination. Like, he's like, oh, I lost my sneaker. Maybe I could use some rags and like wrap my feet in it. And then I'm going to say like, oh yeah, there's a cast on my sneaker. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck is this kid talking about? And what do you mean ripped up rag? Like, that's so that reeks of poverty. Ripped up rags. Like, I don't even have ripped up rags and I'm not rich. So I just don't understand what he means by that. Like, he's going to take like some piece of tissue, and apparently they have many of them because they say some off. So they have like a lot of this, maybe old bed sheets, you know, like very old bed sheet, and they made rags out of them. But I don't know, it's kind of bizarre the way, you know, it's not something that a normal person talks about. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make a cast. I lost my shoe, so I'm gonna make a cast out of it to pretend, like, to hide it. A normal person would say like, I lost my shoe, but that's okay. I have several pairs. I'm gonna wear a different pair, you know. But Lorne, apparently he has only one pair of shoes, and if he loses a shoe, it's a big problem. You know, it's like, shit, I lost my shoe. I need to make a cast to hide it, you know? Like, people would ask like, Lorne, where's your other shoe? Oh, no, look, I have some rags. There's a cast on it. And what the fuck, the cat? Like, the shoe is injured or something? How come that idea even crossed his mind? Like, even for a little kid, that's not something that's going to cross a little kid's mind, you know? Like, oh yeah, I'm going to make a cast. It's really bizarre and weird, and it gets weirder. So I think it's a very Kafkaesque story. Like, it's strange, but psychedically, whatever, in a way. Later at home, the next day, I had a glass of juice. What kind of juice, Lorne, you know? And it's kind of a weird day. Like, what did you do today? Oh yeah, I started to say that I had a cast on my shoe, and then I drank a glass of juice. And then Here is where it gets really sad. He really explored the drama of the story. He says, "My juice tastes like a sneaker." And now, at first it's funny, but then you realize that juice is not supposed to taste like a sneaker. I've never tasted juice that tasted bad. You drink juice, it's the juice. How can you mess that up? Even the cheap juice, like the very cheapest one, not the Tropicana for rich stuff, but the very cheapest one, it doesn't taste anywhere near a sneaker. So the only way that juice is going to taste like a sneaker is if it's well past its expiration date, or if it wasn't properly stored for some reason. And the juice that expires, or your old juice, it really shows that it's a very poor family. What kind of family? Juice is like, it's a month. It lasts a month in the fridge. So, who's going to keep juice long enough for it to turn really bad? Nobody. So I have to guess that those people are really poor. Or maybe they can only afford like really disgusting juice, and that's all they can afford. And it tastes horrible. So there's some drama. It shows that Lorne had a very traumatic childhood. They didn't have much money. And you drink juice and it tastes disgusting. What would a normal person do? You would throw it away. But maybe Lorne and his family couldn't afford that. Maybe it tastes bad. Well, that's, we have to drink it anyway because we need calories or else we're going to die. So it tastes bad. Too bad for you. Drink it. It shows a traumatizing childhood, I cannot even remember one time where I drank juice and it didn't taste good. Well, not necessarily good, but at least not bad. But Lorne, apparently, in his house, they have like rotten food. They have to eat like rotten, expired food. It's pretty sad. And how come the first reflex he had when he drank the juice was to say it tastes like a sneaker? Perhaps because he ate sneakers before. Maybe they were so poor, like, okay, I have nothing to eat tonight. We're gonna boil some shoes and we're gonna eat that. Or maybe they use like a sneakers as for like a soup. Like, okay, we need a broth. We're gonna make a sneaker broth, and I'm gonna add a few vegetables, and that's gonna be our soup. It's gonna give it some flavor, Like, how come he knows what sneakers taste like? I don't know. It's kind of shocking, and also the fact that he tastes the juice and it tastes bad, and he feels the need to tell nobody. Like, he's later at home and he says out loud, like, "My juice tastes like a sneaker." Like, it's so unnatural. And why does he feel the need to say that? Like, I suppose his mom was around and he's like, "My juice tastes like a sneaker." Okay, that's pretty weird. Even for a kid, we can see that Lorne was a pretty weird kid. And then my mother said, and you can see that he's really applying himself to indict something right. "Maybe that's because you left your sneaker in the refrigerator." It's such a shitty comeback. It's such a shitty line. Lorne probably thought it was funny as a kid. Like, "Oh, my mom said that. It's so funny." But when you analyze that, it's actually fucking stupid, First of all, who's going to put their sneakers in the fridge? And if they really put the sneaker in the fridge, maybe his brother played a prank on him. I don't think the sneaker is going to affect the taste of the juice, It's not strong enough. And even if they did hit this sneaker in the fridge for whatever reason, which is disgusting, by the way, you would see it. When you open the fridge, you would see a fucking shoe, Lorne, And then the fact that Lorne took this anodyne story, this stupid story, and somehow decided that it was worth writing a story about, there's something kind of like gleeful about it, but not really, It's kind of surprising in a good way. Like, it's kind of like, it's a kid, it's cute. But then you realize, no, they're fucking poor and they have like a very boring life and they have to drink disgusting juice and they cannot afford 2 pair of shoes. Like, when you study that story in depth, you start to realize that Lorne was fucking poor growing up. He lived in a very poor family. It was quite traumatizing. It's quite a bad childhood. Like, he write a story. At first you think like, it's cute, like it's funny. For a kid, there's a pun, maybe, I don't know. But when you study it in detail, you say, this is a call for help. The kid is calling for help, like, help me, get me out of here, I'm hungry, I have to drink disgusting juice, I have bad shoes, It really exposes the bad childhood, the terrible childhood that he had in his family. And it really exposed that already at this age, he was a weird guy. So thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you appreciated my analysis of Lorne's story, or Lauren's story, sorry, and have a good night.